Hi, third graders. I hope everybody is doing well today. Today, for our independent work or our flip notebook work, there's a bit of writing, um, just because there's some definitions involved here. So just stick with me. It's not too bad, but just a heads up, there's some writing going on today. On your table of contents, I have mine already set up. We're on page number 12. Independent and dependent clause. This is part of Unit 2, Part 2. So once you have this written down, you can go ahead and jump to the next page. So we glued this little flipped activity in our book at school. Let's go ahead and put our heading on. We don't really need too big of a heading since it's already on here, but we do need our page number. Let's go ahead and put the date. Can you believe it's March? Isn't that crazy? Okay, and here we go. So let me back this up just a little bit, but I don't want it too far away. Little warning, and I probably told you this in class, the boxes are kind of small. So you really have to watch how big you're writing your letters and in your words, because you want to try your best to make it fit in all the flaps that we have here. Okay, so today we're talking about independent and dependent clauses. It's important to be able to identify a sentence that is independent or a sentence that is dependent, because it's really going to help you out with those compound sentences and using fanboys and conjunctions in a sentence. Okay, so lifting up the first flap, we are going to define what an independent clause is. Okay, so I'm going to kind of hold this down right here so you can see. So an independent clause is a group of words that has a subject and a predicate, and it can stand on its own as a sentence. Okay. So some of this might sound a little confusing, but as we work our way through it, it's going to make more sense. So just go ahead and write that first definition down. Once you have that definition down, let's go ahead and look at some example sentences. So if I had a sentence like, she read many books, I have a subject and I have a predicate. My subject is she. I'm talking about she. What did she do? She read. Okay, we know that. There are 5 books. What's our subject? Books. We're talking about the books. Okay, so there is our predicate, what the books are doing. So there are, or I'm sorry, are is our verb, what our subjects are doing. There are 5 books. So these are just 2 regular sentences. They're nice, simple sentences. They make sense. They have a subject. They have a predicate. They're a sentence all by themselves. Okay. Now we're going to turn over to dependent clauses. Now, a dependent clause is just the opposite of independent clause. And when you think about dependent, they depend on more information so that they can make sense. So a dependent clause is a group of words that have a subject and have a predicate, but they cannot stand alone to make a sentence. They don't make sense. There's something missing in the sentence. You don't have enough information. They depend on more information. That's what makes them dependent. So go ahead and write the sentence for, or the definition for dependent clause, and we'll look at some examples. All right, so here are my examples. When he brought the pencil, or his pencil, well, we're left here going, well, when he brought his pencil, what? It doesn't give us all the information that we need so that the sentence makes sense. When he brought his pencil, what? Finish your thought here, right? Same with the next one. Since he finished the story, what? It doesn't tell us enough information to have the sentence make sense. I'm missing something. It leaves me questioning. If you have to question yourself, like, well, when he brought the pencil, what happened? Like, what's the rest? If it makes you question it, that means it's a dependent clause because it doesn't have enough information. You need more. Okay? Then we have some signal words. If you see these words at the beginning of a sentence, that's a usually really good indication that this is a dependent clause, that this sentence will not stand alone. So words like after, although, as, because, before, by the time, if, in case, now, that, when, and while. So if you ever see, and there's a few more, it's a pretty big list. So these are just a few examples. So if you ever see these at the beginning of a sentence, you know that it's a dependent clause. It doesn't make sense. The sentence is not finished. So we are going to look at a few more examples, okay? So when we have our fanboys, we might have a sentence that says, Sarah has a big dog and Sarah has a small cat. So if I broke this sentence up and I have Sarah has a big dog, well, that sentence would make sense. It has a subject, it has a predicate. I'm not questioning why. So if I took this part out of our big sentence and I just said Sarah has a big dog, that makes sense. So that's an independent clause. Down here, Sarah has a small cat. Same thing. If I took this chunk out of my sentence and made it its own sentence, Sarah has a small cat, it would still make sense. So both of these are independent clauses. And since they're independent, I can use a fanboy with them. Sometimes, though, we don't have two independent clauses. So if I had a sentence like, Tom fell off the slide when he jumped on it. Well, I have my first sentence. Tom fell off the slide. Oh, I forgot my comma. That was the problem. If I took the sentence, Tom fell off the slide, it would be an independent sentence. It makes sense all by itself. So it's independent. But if I took when he jumped off of it or jumped on it, and I pulled that out, it doesn't make sense. When he jumped on it, what? So I need to have this first part of the sentence to make the second part of my sentence make sense. So half of my sentence is independent, and then I have a comma, and then the second half of my sentence is dependent because it depends on the first part of the sentence to make sense. This is tricky. We're going to practice this a lot in class. So if you're kind of having some confusion, it's okay. Go ahead and answer your Google form questions, and I'll see you in class. Bye.